Hello and welcome to another episode on the Go Figure Customs YouTube channel. First of all, I would like to thank everybody that has signed up since my last video, and that has subscribed since my last video. And I'd like to thank everybody that has still been subscribed since my last video, since I don't put them out all the time. If you follow my either my personal Facebook page or my customizing Facebook page, you'll note that number one, I am indeed home from Ukraine, and I am home from Ukraine permanently. I will not be going back. It's getting kind of crazy over there, even for me. So, but that doesn't mean I'm home for good, unfortunately. So, I worked for a company for 4.5 years overseas, and they've asked me to come back with them. So I'm going to Equatorial Guinea. I'll be working offshore on an oil platform, which I've done before, and it's decent work, a lot less stressful. So there is that. But I thought, what would be the best video to do for my first video back from Ukraine and my last time from Ukraine. And I thought, well, a review, perhaps, of the Russian vehicle that you see on eBay all the time. So you've seen them on Facebook, you've seen them on eBay actually, but you see every once in a while somebody's got one on Facebook because they've thrown down the money and risked whether or not they're actually going to get the thing, because it is coming from Russia. I think it came from St. Petersburg, if I'm not mistaken. But it is the 1/18th scale S-400 missile defense system is what it's based off. And it's listed on eBay as October Guard, so, it could go for your October Guard guys. But the thing is, I saw two of these actually in Ukraine when I was there, and I had thought about getting it while I was there, because I've been looking at these things for years, but like most everybody else, the price tag has been a stopping point for me, because they're like $40, and then it's like $45 shipping, and that's a lot for shipping. Even though it's got to come from Russia, that's a lot to just throw down on one vehicle. So the price tag's always been kind of a stopping point for me. When I found this in Ukraine, the second one that I found didn't have a price on it, but the first one did, and it said 5,000 rubles on it. And if you do the currency conversion, 5,000 rubles is just under $100. So to me, I thought about it, and it's like it would have been extremely hard to bring this home. Number one, it would have been extremely hard to get it back from the grocery store where it was to the hotel that I was staying at, along with all the food that I needed for the next week, and then have to explain to my coworkers why I've got a 1.5 foot long plastic toy under my arm. Might have been a little hard to explain, but 5,000 rubles, about $100, versus the 85 off of eBay. It comes out about even, because then, like I said, I would have had a hell of a time getting it home, especially since I was bringing everything I owned that I had in Ukraine home with me, because normally I leave all my stuff there. I'm coming back, so there's no reason to bring it back every time. But when I was demobilizing, so everything had to come home with me. I probably would have had room for it, but man, stuff just gets beat to hell when you put it in the belly of an airplane. So this is very fairly durable plastic. It's kind of the softer feel plastic that some of the cheaper toys that you see have, but it doesn't feel cheap or look cheap in hand, which is really nice. When you see vehicles made from this kind of softer plastic, usually they don't have decent sculpting to them, but the sculpted details on this thing are actually pretty nice. And if you Google image an S-400, this thing's actually pretty close to what it is in real life. There's 4 missile pods instead of 2 on the real S-400, but and I think if this was something that was readily available here in the United States for $40, I probably would have gotten a second one, and I would take that second one and kit bash it, the 2 extra pods, to make it look more like the realistic one. But I'm not going to spend $100 for a second one just to tear it apart for a custom. There are a few, I won't call them action. Well, there is an action feature on this actually, but there's a hinged door on this front side, and again it's 1/18 scale. The seats are pretty big and bulky in there, and we're gonna see if a figure will fit here in a minute. And then the front door on the other side opens. There's 2 front-facing seats on both sides, and then there is 2 inward-facing seats behind the driver and the passenger seat. So in theory it can hold 4 figures. There's a lot of like sculpted diamond plating on there, which looks really nice. There's some just like generalized sculpting right here on the side. I think if I get like a tow hook from a Mauler or a Wolverine, even if it's a reproduction piece, I think it will look really nice there on the side. And then, of course, the missile pod goes up, and it has, you can see in the side where it has a stop for every, where it will sit on each level. And then it will go all the way back. So it's kind of the Russian equivalent of the Rolling Thunder, just not as nicely detailed or as many parts. And then I did mention that it, it's Russian, what do you want? I did mention that it does have an action feature. So I'm going to arm this. There are 2 levers on the top. This one is armed, this one is not, so we're going to pull this one back. And it clicks back, and there's a lot of tension on that spring. I mean, you can really feel that. We're going to move it up one, and then the caps pop back. Now, what is in there and is really kind of neat is, here, let's take one out to show you. Comes with a couple like, they're about ping pong ball sized. That came out of the other one there. Alright, so we're going to arm it. Now, I'm going to pause it here and let's see if we can, I'm going to shoot this off for you just to show you how far it really does shoot these things. It's really kind of a fantastic thing. Now, the trick here is, my female blue heeler, Izzy, is sitting right here because she knows this thing's about ready to go off, and she's going to go steal that ball. So let's see what happens. All right, here's this thing ready to fire. All right, let's see if I can get an approximation of where it's going to fire to, and we're going to fire one. I mean, that went clear across. We hit the TV there. And I'm gonna get a shot of it going out on the second one here. And that hit the second one. And there goes the dog. Yep, and there goes the ball. Brain here is, nope. Now it's keep away. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute while I get my ball back from the dog. All right, so after about 2 minutes chasing the dog around the room because she didn't want to give that back, I did indeed get both ping pong balls back. I think they're about ping pong ball size. I am going to get some ping pong balls for it, just so the dog and I can play and she doesn't crush the ones that it came with. So normally when I do a vehicle or action figure review, I have three broad categories that I review the figure or vehicle under. Number one, what does the packaging look like? Is it a cool package? Is it something that I'm going to not want to open because the packaging is so awesome? This came in a brown box. The ones that I saw in Ukraine were sitting on the shelf just like this. There's a little strap that they had on this thing to keep the missile system from flopping around. And doing a Google image search, it looks like the strap was actually fairly realistic too. I cut it off just thinking it was just packaging, more or less, but it actually looks like it's potentially part of should have stayed with the vehicle because it was realistic. So, number one, packaging, there wasn't any, aside from the strap, which you probably should have kept, but it's all right. Number two, playability. Man, this thing is a solid chunk. I mean, the softer plastic is going to last longer. It's not going to get brittle. It's very rugged. You could give this to a 3-year-old and they're going to have a good time and they're not going to destroy it. I think even the arm, even the missile system arm is, I would not worry about breaking this with some rough play. So this is something that you can get and you can just have a blast with, because you're gonna be hard pressed to break this. There's not that much on it to break. The breakable parts that I would worry about would be, of course, the doors that flip up and the missile system doors, and then of course, if you lose your ping pong balls. But like I said, I think they're ping pong ball sized. I'm going to get some ping pong balls and see if they fit in there as well. So anything else is directly sculpted onto the vehicle, so it's not going to break off. It looks like they had sculpted something on the top here, where like maybe a spotlight or some sort of like a Gatling gun might clip in there. It doesn't swivel or anything, but it looks like there was a clip for some sort of other weapon, and there's it's molded in there as well for, it looks like something else sits in there. Now I know there are at least 2 or 3 other variations on this particular vehicle that I've seen on eBay. There's one that's more of it looks kind of more like an APC personnel carrier. There's one that has a little helicopter with it, and then there's one that has a little tank with it. I am probably going to go ahead and get the one that is the personnel carrier. I thought about getting the one with the helicopter, but I think it's a little underscaled for what it is. I mean, you're looking at like the helicopter that came with the Rhino, the DTC Rhino, if you remember that. And then the tank really looks underscaled, but they're still cool vehicles. So I think any of them would be worth getting, honestly. And then the third thing is customizing potential. And this thing has custom written all over it. My plans for this are to, of course, paint it Probably I'll primer everything. It looks like it comes apart fairly easy. Everything is tabbed in, and the softer plastic isn't going to break when you try and take it apart. Like, some of the older GI Joe vehicles use that real hard plastic, and it gets brittle as it ages. I think even just letting this sit out in the sun all day, or just a blow dryer or a heat gun. I've been thinking about investing in a heat gun because I think it might be useful. And a Phillips or a flathead screwdriver, and I think this thing's going to come right apart without any problems. So I'm going to take it all apart. I'm going to primer it, and I'm going to paint it. Planning on using an airbrush to do the base coats. Probably going to try and use the airbrush on 90% of it, actually. I'm looking at getting a new airbrush here while I'm home this time too. The other thing that I am going to do to it is I am going to gut the seats, the molded seats in there, because if you look in there, and let's see, I brought a figure up here to help us. Here's Destro. I figured Destro would be the most appropriate person to help me review this weapon system. And this is the Destro from the San Diego Comic-Con box set, the second one. So I'm going to try and shove him in the front seat. And, well, here, let's flip this around real quick. He doesn't fit. That's as good as he's going to get in there. So clearly nobody is going to fit in the back seat in there. So my plan is to go ahead and pop. It looks like the front part of this just pops right off, and then the rest of this will just pop right off. I'm going to flip the camera again. So I'm going to gut the molded seats that are in there. I'm going to take those out with just a Dremel. And then it's been my experience when I need to put seats in a custom vehicle that vintage Tomahawk seats really work well for these types of projects. I gutted a Cobra Bug and turned the whole interior into just a single cabin, and used Tomahawk seats for that. Unfortunately, that custom did not get finished because the primer I was using at the time beat it up on the surface and just ruined the whole thing. I've tried to strip that primer down, and I'm still pissed because I spent a lot of time building that. I don't do scratch builds, but this is as close to a scratch build as I've ever done, and I'm mad still. So so what I'll do is I'll get a couple Tomahawk seats. They'll probably be a couple bucks off of eBay, or I'll get them off of one of the Facebook groups. I'll Dremel the stuff in there that's out and get the Tomahawk seats in there, and I'll make sure that it'll be able to get figures put in there. I'm also contemplating, I'm going to have to take it apart and see if it's possible putting the whole cabin on a hinge so it lifts up. So I'm thinking about seeing if I can put the whole cabin on a hinge to like a semi truck or a fire engine, where the cab would go up so you work on the engine. And if I do that, I haven't decided on if I think the hard part will be, number one, finding a hinge that will work. The rest of it I'm not too worried about. I think, though, if I do go that route, I'm going to try and put some sort of engine in there as well. I'm thinking maybe an engine from a Moray might look pretty nice in there somewhere. And then, yeah, just painting and stickers. I don't think October Guard had any vintage vehicles, so I'm not sure I can go to Toy Hacks and just buy something that had Russian stickers to do. So I may have to get in touch with get in touch with Bad Mother decals, and see if I can put a custom project for some water slide decals together with that guy, because I know he does do custom orders. So the decals would really make this look cool. So those are the like three big categories: is packaging, non-existent; playability, absolutely. I'm going to knock it down a little bit on the playability, since you can't just stick a figure straight in without doing some modification to it. So maybe a couple off on the playability for not being able to get a figure right in getting 4 figures right in the belly of this thing, in the cab rather. But the rest of it, yeah, this is a fantastic vehicle. So, and then customizability. Absolutely, this thing. I mean, it's just screaming, tear me apart, put me back together, and paint me right now. So then the last thing is kind of, is the price. It's $80, $85 off of eBay. Is it worth it? Okay, yeah, this isn't. I think it is, because it's not something that you could. Well, Toys R Us is gone, so we'll say Walmart. This is or Target. This isn't something that you can run down to Target or Walmart or get. This is a toy from another country. So you're going to pay a premium price for a toy from another country to begin with. I mean, anybody that collects the Action Force line, the UK version of G.I. Joe, or has been getting any foreign versions of G.I. Joes aside from like the Fun School stuff from India, knows that this stuff is a bit more expensive than it is for the US version. So is $85 worth it? Considering the rarity of this, the playability, the customizability, and the quality of it, I mean, it really is a quality piece. I absolutely think that it is worth the $85, because like I said, it was almost $100 in Ukraine. So I don't think, people are bitching about the $45 price, $45 shipping tag on that. Honestly, if I'd have gotten this in Ukraine, I'd have paid more for it as is off the shelf. So to me, it's kind of a wash on the shipping, because it was almost $100 to begin with. So, and that's without shipping. That's just picking it up at the store. So I think that is the price. It is $85. I think that's about what 5,000 rubles comes out to. Let's look that up real quick. I can do that. Currency, rubles, clear, 5, done, US, $79.54 is what 5,000 rubles is as of this minute. So you're paying maybe $10 more to get it off of eBay than you would if you were in Ukraine and could get it home. So basically, you're paying $10 for shipping. Honestly, you're paying $85 for the thing, or you're paying $75 for the thing and $10 for shipping. So honestly, I think that is completely worth it. One of the other things I was going to mention for just customizing, it does come apart. The wheels just pop right off of there. You can see underneath, so that'll be pretty easy to take apart. So is it worth it? Yeah, I think it is. And the price tag, I think people are hesitant to do it because they're worried they're not going to get it. There's one guy selling these on Facebook, or on eBay. One guy. There's just one guy doing these, and he has 100% feedback rate. eBay or PayPal wouldn't be dicking around. Wouldn't let this guy do this thing. Wouldn't let this guy be scamming people. So yeah, I was a little hesitant coming from Russia, but yeah, I'm not gonna be hesitant to get the the second one when I'm ready to get it. Because yeah, this is totally worth it. You know, if you're a collector of 1/18 scale vehicles and want something in your collection that probably just about everybody else doesn't have, this is it, man. If you're a customizer and want something, again, very unique, here it is. Are you a huge October Guard fan? Man, this is the jewel in the crown for an October Guard line. So I think it's absolutely worth the price tag. 100% worth it. And I would hit that buy it now button without fear, because with the 100% feedback rate, you're gonna get it. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, all those social media things. And stay tuned, because I will be home for about a month and I do have a few more videos planned. So thank you for watching.